Thought I would show a little bit of, what Trump had going on recently.
Are saying they will not be allowed to start for 18 months.
No, that will not be.
Okay, I just
You can hold me to it.
because 4 groups said that. and
No,
That would be it. They should be able to do. They should be able to start tonight.
we absolutely need your help. We need the federal help. You're
You got
there.
it. I told you. You will have no permit problem. There will be 0 delay. I am more worried because I met at least 8 groups of homeowners, and I'm much more worried about the fact that they said it's 18 months exactly. We're going to go through a whole series of questions on determining what's hazardous.
No,
I just think you have to allow the people to go on their site and start the process tonight.
and we will.
Okay, good.
You can come back and check.
You have emergency powers just like I do, and I'm exercising my emergency powers. You have to exercise them also.
I did exercise.
Because you have a very powerful emergency power, and
Yes.
you can do everything within 24 hours.
Yes.
Mr. President, thank you
Sure,
for coming
thank you, Brett.
to the 32nd Congressional District and
Thank you.
making feel. Most people don't have adequate insurance because they couldn't get it. So one company dropped 1,600 policies just in the last 6 months. We've got 16 times as much property damage here as in Hawaii. And I'm hoping that we get at least 16 times the federal appropriation.
They got
for the
0!
CDBG
So they should get
program
0
that
times
helps people
16?
rebuild. And I know you've talked about policies of California that you're not a fan of. But I've been in Congress for 28 years. I really disagree with Louisiana on their abortion policy. I disagree with them on their campaign finance policy. I disagree with North Dakota on their gun policy. And I would never turn to somebody from Louisiana and say, you keep living on your cousin's couch, because we're not gonna help you rebuild until Louisiana agrees with me on a woman's right to choose. So I'm hoping that we can get these funds and that we don't punish individuals for the policies of their state. You can disagree with them, and
Mustard!
I look forward to us listening. Also on tariffs, I often agree with you on tariffs, but how about no tariffs on building materials for the next 3 years?
No, we'll take a look at that, actually. We'll
Mr.
take a
President.
look. Mayor, please.
Yes, first of all, let me just take the opportunity to officially welcome you to Los Angeles. Really appreciate you coming, and especially you come just a few days after your inauguration. So
Thank you.
I want you to know that your presence here is very much appreciated. Let me also say that I know you had an opportunity to see the devastation. You've seen the extreme loss, the grief that people are going through here. And we are 100% committed to getting this neighborhood rebuilt again. You mentioned a couple of things in terms of us expediting. So I signed executive directives right away so that we could cut the red tape. We could get people back building as fast as possible. And we're going to continue doing that.
Yeah, the one thing is they are
Yes.
saying they will not be allowed to start for 18 months.
No, that will not be the case.
Okay, I just hope
That
you're
will
right.
not, you can hold me to it.
Because 4 groups said that.
No,
That would be it. They should
No,
be able
that-
to do it. They should be able to start tonight.
that will not be the case. You know, first we have to take care of, to make sure that there's not getting rid of the hazardous waste, cleaning things up so that people can start right away. And just like you said, if somebody had, their house was destroyed and they're gonna rebuild essentially the same, maybe a little bit longer, a little bit higher, they really shouldn't have to go through much of a process. So I want you to know that we are expediting that. We absolutely need your help. We need the federal help.
For delay, and as far as I'm concerned, you already have the permits. But
And the resource.
I am more worried, because I met at least 8 groups of homeowners, and I'm much more worried about the fact that they said it's 18 months exactly, and they were devastated. They want to start now. They want to start removing things. They're not allowed to do it now. And you mentioned hazardous waste. Well, the hazardous waste. What's hazardous waste? I mean, you're going to have to define that. We're going to go through a whole series of questions on determining what's hazardous.
No,
I just think you have to allow the people to go on their site and start the process tonight.
And we will.
Okay, good.
You can come back and check.
I don't wanna be the only one to give you permits like in one day, and then I find out that the cities, the towns, and the state is not gonna give you permits, and you know, the problem.
Welcome back, guys. Let's just turn this back a few
I was
seconds.
listening. Also on tariffs, I often agree with you on tariffs, but how about no tariffs on building materials for the next 3 years?
No, we'll take a look at that, actually. We'll
Mr.
take a
President,
look. Mayor, please.
yes, first of all, let me just take the opportunity to officially welcome you to Los Angeles. Really appreciate you coming, and especially you come just a few days after your inauguration. So
Thank you.
I want you to know that your presence here is very much appreciated. Let me also say that I know you had an opportunity to see the devastation. You've seen the extreme loss, the grief that people are going through here. And we are 100% committed to getting this neighborhood rebuilt again. You mentioned a couple of things in terms of us expediting. So I signed executive directives right away so that we could cut the red tape, we could get people back building as fast as possible, and we're gonna continue doing that.
Yeah, the one thing is they are
Yes.
saying they will not be allowed to start for 18 months.
No, that will not be the case.
Okay, I just hope
That will
you're
not,
right.
you can hold me to it.
There's 4 groups said that. and
No,
That would be, they should
No,
be able to
that-
do it, they should be able to start tonight.
that will not be the case. You know, first we have to take care of, to make sure that there's not getting rid of the hazardous waste, cleaning things up so that people can start right away. And just like you said, if somebody had, their house was destroyed and they're gonna rebuild essentially the same, maybe a little bit longer, a little bit higher, they really shouldn't have to go through much of a process. So I want you to know that we are expediting that. We absolutely need your help. We need the federal help. You're
You got it, I told you, you will have no permit problem, there will be 0 delay, and as far as I'm concerned, you already have the permits.
And
But
And the resource.
I am more worried, because I met at least 8 groups of homeowners, and I'm much more worried about the fact that they said it's 18 months exactly, and they were devastated. They want to start now, they want to start removing things, they're not allowed to do it now, and you mentioned hazardous waste. Well, the hazardous waste, what's hazardous waste? I mean, you're gonna have to define that. We're gonna go through a whole series of questions on determining what's hazardous.
nope, nope,
I
nope,
just think
nope.
you have to allow the people to go on their site and start the process tonight.
And we will.
Okay, good.
You can come back and check.
I don't want to be the only one to give you permits like in one day, and then I find out that the cities, the towns, and the state is not going to give you permits. And you know, the problem with permits, it only takes one. You might need 7 different permits. You shouldn't have any at this point. You should just let them build. And you know, you're only as good as the weakest one. So if you have one that's going to hold you up, but the others are going to give it to you in 24 hours, it's not going to help you very much. So they have to work on that. That's what everybody said.
Well, and let me just tell you that we are gonna do everything we can, slashing regulations, expediting everything so that people can begin the process right away. You know, we have the Disaster Recovery Center on Pico and Westwood. We have building and safety there. People are already contacting the local agencies. We're bringing our city departments together so that people don't get caught in the loop of going from one room to the next. We want them all to be in the same room so that you can get busy rebuilding ASAP. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. And we will clear the lots, absolutely, in the city and in the county. We are working together. Both levels of government are working in unity. Yes.
6 months is no good.
And the number one thing that we are going to do immediately, and you will see this happen, is to clear out the debris. And you know, we're concerned right now over the weekend because of the potential rain, but we are gonna move as fast as we can, but we want you to be safe. We want you to be back in your homes immediately.
But the people are willing to clean out their own debris. It doesn't
Yes,
cost
and
a
they
lot.
can.
You
and
should
they are
let them
able
do it
to-
because
No,
by the
they
time you
can.
hire contractors, it's
Right.
gonna be 2 years.
If a
The
family.
people are willing to get a dumpster and do it themselves and clean it out.
And they can.
There's not that much left, it's all incinerated.
That's right.
And, you know, it's just gonna take a long time if you do, you can do some of it, but a lot of these people, I know that guy right there that's talking, I know my people. You'll be on that thing tonight, throwing the stuff away and your site it'll look perfect within 24 hours, and that's what he wants to do. He doesn't wanna wait around for 7 months till the city hires some demolition contract
If
that's gonna
individuals
charge him
want to build-
$25,000 to do his lot. I think you have emergency powers just like I do, and I'm exercising my emergency powers. You have to exercise them also.
I did exercise them.
Because I look,
signed
I
an
mean, you have a
emergency
very powerful
declaration.
emergency power, and
Yes.
you can do everything within 24 hours.
Yes, and if individuals want to clear out their property, they can.
Free Snowden, guys. What do you think? Should Donald J. Trump free Snowden or no?
Jonathan, I
What are
don't
your
know if you're getting
thoughts?
there, but let's listen to it.
Personally, I think Snowden is the perfect person for Trump to pardon. Biden should have pardoned Snowden, but that's his mortal enemy.
There's an exchange there. There you see the president and the first lady, Melania Trump. with
Donald
them
J.
together.
Trump
Let's listen
taking
to see if
down-
they make any comments here.
New scum.
We just left North Carolina a little while ago. We have that in very good shape. We have the congressman in charge and Michael Watley, and we're going to do a lot of work. We have the Army Corps of Engineers working as they are here. And I think you're going to see some very big progress. They left them high and dry. And now we're going to be taking a little tour with some of the people from the area. I appreciate the governor coming out and meeting me, Governor. Thank you very much. And we'll be talking a little bit. We want to get it fixed. We want to get the problem fixed. And there'll be some
Give me a minute, guys. I'm turning up.
Got hit by a bomb, right?
You gotta give me a minute to charge up. When I charge up, I'm gonna go crazy and give you guys a show.
Thank you for being here. It means a great deal to all of us, and not just the folks in Palisades, the folks in Altadena that were devastated. Don't forget that, and I have all the expectations that we'll be able to work together to get this speedy recovery.
We're going to get it done. Tremendous numbers of lives have been affected. A lot of real estate's been affected. Nobody's ever probably seen anything like this. You can almost say since the Second World War, when you think of it. I mean, nothing like this has happened. And we're going to get it fixed, so we'll get it permanently fixed, so it can't happen again. And again, we'll be talking a little bit later, and we'll get it worked out, okay?
Appreciate it, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
A lot over the past week over what has happened in the state. How do you plan to?
We gotta get it finished. We're looking to get something completed. And the way you get it completed is to work together. It's the governor of the state. And we're gonna get it completed. They're gonna need a lot of federal help. Unless we don't need any, which could be
We're
okay.
gonna need a lot of federal help.
So, we're gonna take care of things.
I have all the confidence in the world we'll work that out.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. I guess some of you are coming with us, some of you not. Thank you
Let's
very much.
go! Donald J. Trump is taking over the world. He's a supreme dictator.
Unfortunately, it's a very sad period, but what makes you feel good is I met so many of the homeowners, and every one of them, a lot of them, and every one of them said to me they want to rebuild. I said, will you go elsewhere? No, 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 no. It wasn't even like a question. They love the area, they love the people. It's like a family. It's incredible, actually, when you see some things like that. We just left North Carolina, and we had just a similar type of disaster. It was water instead of fire, but boy, that water did damage like I've never seen before. And then you come here and you see this. But the people are so amazing, and your fire department was so beautiful. Every one of them is in perfect physical shape. I said,
Donald J. Trump, you are beautiful, mister.
And we took pictures with all of them, but very nicely they gave us a little helmet. And I said, hey, you wear this, huh? Is this real? And they said, yeah. I said, it's awfully heavy. You have to be very strong to wear that. But that's the original, right? So it's pretty good. But I just want to thank everybody. We're going to be with you. Your governor met us at the plane, and we had a good talk, very, very positive talk. We have to work together to get this really worked out. I don't think you can realize how rough it is, how devastating it is until you see it. I didn't realize, I mean, I saw a lot of bad things on television, but the extent of it, the size of it, we flew over it in a helicopter. We flew to a few of the areas, and it is devastation. It's incredible. It's really an incineration. Even some of the chimneys came down, okay? When you have the chimneys come down, you know that's pretty hot stuff, and a lot of them were down. That was a bad sign, too. But I just want to commiserate, and we're going to celebrate. We'll be back to celebrate one day soon, I hope soon. The federal government standing behind you, 100%. The First Lady and I are in California to express a great love for the people of California. I've had great support always in California. We did very well recently, as you know, relatively speaking, at least I can say. 6 months is no good.
And the number one thing that we are going to do immediately, and you will see this happen, is to clear out the debris. And you know, we're concerned right now over the weekend because of the potential rain, but we are going to move as fast as we can. But we want you to be safe. We want you to be back in your homes immediately.
But the people are willing to clean out their own debris. It doesn't
Yes,
cost a
and they
lot.
can.
You
And
should
they are
let them
able
do
to-
it, because
No,
by the
they
time you
can do
hire
that.
contractors, it's
Right.
going to be 2 years.
If a family...
People are willing to get a dumpster and do it themselves and clean it out.
And they can
There's
do
not that much left. It's all incinerated.
That's right.
And, you know, it's just going to take a long time if you do.
Corrupt
You can do
ass
some of it,
bitch
but a lot
is
of
trying to
stuff-
tell my fellow Americans when they can go back to their
We'll
house.
be on that thing tonight, throwing the stuff away. and
I don't
stuff
think
will
she
be
gets
in
to
the-
decide that.
In 24 hours, and that's what he wants to do. He doesn't want to wait around for 7 months till the city hires some demolition contract that's going to charge him $25,000 to do his lot. I think you have emergency powers just like I do, and I'm exercising my emergency powers. You have to exercise them also.
Yeah, that's right.
Because I mean, you have
Beat the shit out of them verbally.
do everything with
Give them the verbal smackdown.
Yes. And if individuals want to clear out their property, they can. Yes, but you know that you will be able to go back soon.
Mr. President.
We think within a week.
That's a long time, a week. I'll be honest. To me, everyone's standing in front of their house. They want to go to work, and they're not allowed to do it.
And the most important
week
thing
is
is
a
for
long
people to
time.
be safe.
They're safe. They're safe. You know what? They're not safe. They're not safe now. They're going to be much safer. A week is actually a long time, the way I look at it. I
Very long, Mr. Trump.
Hundreds of people standing in front of their lots, and they're not allowed to go in. It's all burned. It's gone. It's done. Nothing's going to happen to it. It's not going to burn anymore. There's nothing to burn. There's almost nothing to burn. And they want to go in. The people are all over the place. They're standing, and I said, why aren't you going in? We're trying to get a permit, and the permit's going to take them. Everybody said 18 months. You said 18 months. You said 18 months. And that was last night.
On that. Right.
Mr. President,
we're going to be together next week, and during the interim, many of us are involved in, and Tom McClintock, who you know has been an expert on this for years.
That's right.
We are going to be putting conditions on the money to do two things. Require that it be done timely and affordable, and then secondly, that we protect those who will come afterwards. As we speak, there are 6,000 acres burning in my district on the Mexican border. There will be more fires until we include in disaster relief items which will prevent it or at least mitigate it from happening again. So you're going to see us proposing both of those.
Like water. Little things
We're gonna
like
do
water.
that for them.
You know, the party of common sense. See, we're the party of common sense. You're not, in all fairness. It's really quite efficient. All right.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President, I'm Jay Obernolte. My district is just a bit east of here.
Yep.
And you were talking about the need to better manage our forests and our wildlands to prevent this from happening again. And you were so right about that. Just last year, a couple months ago in October, they put out a fire. The line fire in my district was over twice as big as the Palisades fire. And they put it out less than a mile from my house in an area where we had done thinning, and they stopped the fire, Mr. President, on a fire break that we had built a couple of years ago. We have an area just on the other side of my community.
He's disappointed in LA listening to this.
By a lawsuit from an environmental group that says we're going to reduce habitat. Mr. President, we need to, in addition to getting resources and boots on the ground to do this treatment, we need to reform our legal system to prevent these lawsuits from tying up these projects for years and years and years. And not to say that the merit shouldn't be heard, but we need to hear them and we can move on and resolve them.
Is this a state group? State or federal group?
This is a local group, actually, Mr. President, but they have help from the state.
They use the environment to make themselves feel good, and they're destroying our country. And you've got to, at some point, you've got to put your foot down. I know exactly what you're talking. You have local and state groups, and you have federal groups too. And you got to fight them the right way, because you will never, even if the mayor gives, you're going to have a local group come in and sue. You're not allowed to go on your property. They're going to talk about asbestos and every other thing. They want to go on their property and they want to clean out their property. And you cannot let anything get in their way. And you'll have this place built up quickly, beautiful. It'll be more beautiful than before. And I would do one other thing. I'd give them a 10%, 15% bonus on their house, because they went through hell. And they should be allowed to build a little bit, give them a little bit lot line bonus, give them a bonus on size, maybe a little bonus on height. They went through hell. You know, some of them had houses where they were restricted. They have to have an 8-foot ceiling. You let them have a 10-foot ceiling. Let them build a nice house, a nicer house than they had before. But I would give them a 10 or a 15% bonus on their plans. And I think it would be very well received, because they'll be able to build a little bit nicer house. Do you like that idea, by the way? They deserve it. Because you know what? It's not their fault that this fire took place. This fire took place, could have been stopped. It's not their fault. It's not the homeowner's fault. And I think they should be entitled to a bonus on their house.
Okay, so Governor Gavin Newsom with President Trump there and the First Lady, and talking about cooperation, talking about federal help, talking about working together. I want to bring in our panel early. Kimberly Strassel, member of the editorial board at the Wall Street Journal, Josh Kraushaar, Fox News Radio political analyst, Leslie Marshall, Democratic strategist. Also bring in Peter Ducey from the White House, the North Lawn. An amazing picture there as President Trump and Governor Newsom walk towards Marine One to begin this tour. Kimberly, first to you. That's a message of unity and working together. Obviously, they've talked at each other for a long time. They hadn't talked in person since 2020, but disasters and devastation bring politicians together, and it looks like this has.
Yeah, I mean, by the way, that was very good to see. It was a little awkward with him standing there. It sounds as though the Trump team was not expecting this to happen. So what you just saw there seemed pretty impromptu, and that was the right way to approach it. Now, I have to imagine as they go into private conversation, some of those things that did not just come up publicly will come up about water issues, also, you know, whether or not certain conditions might be attached to any aid that comes out. Those are the more complex complex questions yet to be sorted through.
Leslie, you live out there, you were affected directly, you know a lot of people who have been affected directly. What are your thoughts on that scene and what we just heard?
Well, I have to say that fire is nonpartisan, and so is every disaster. And when you see, you know, the president is not only commander-in-chief, but a president needs to be the consoler-in-chief. And I say that I'm a liberal Democrat. I am glad he is here to see with his own eyes the devastation. And I think every president, Democrat or Republican, should go when you have devastation on this level. Over 17,000 people are out of their homes, including me. And I have to say that I've seen my governor work with President Trump when he was former President Trump. And I certainly hope that they'll put politics aside. I hope that he will have his humanity and compassion rise and see that those of us that are suffering, and people suffering far worse than my family out here, they don't want conditions attached. They don't want politics attached to that. They just want help to either get back into their homes or on with their lives.
Yeah, Peter Ducey from the North Lawn. That was the message, though. It sounded like that they were going to work together, despite all the things that have been said up until this moment. As he gets off that plane and meets the governor at the bottom, obviously he talked about North Carolina and his visit there today, but the message is here, let's figure out how to get this done.
Yes, and Gavin Newsom has gone in the last 2 months from, for all intents and purposes, trying to Trump-proof his state, trying to put administrative measures in place to prevent Donald Trump from undoing certain liberal priorities in California, to getting very, very bad reviews for his handling of these fires in Southern California. And Gavin Newsom is a smart guy. He knows that to improve his own position and to improve the lives of the people who've been affected by this fire, he can't just be dug in against Donald Trump. He was going to have to work with him all along. Although last night I was in touch with the governor's office and they said they were happy that the president accepted their invitation to California before he was sworn in, but they were not tracking any kind of an official meeting. Obviously, if Gavin Newsom was able to get that close, the Secret Service phoned somebody on the plane. The president was probably watching us, and you could see that he was just standing there at the bottom of the stairs by himself. So yeah. I don't think it was an ambush by any means, but it's a savvy move by a governor who's been in office for 12 years. He knows how these things go. He was always going to have to work it out with President Trump. I'd be fascinated to know what's going on with their private conversation right now, if it's in the helicopter or the SUV. And the great thing about the last few days, President Trump has revealed he'll just tell us what they were talking about.
Exactly.
Donald J. Trump! Donald J. Trump. Hit the like and subscribe button. This man is saving the day.
Another look at this moment. They obviously exchanged something there at the bottom of the stairs as well.
It's a remarkable scene. These are two of the biggest political enemies, and they've been calling both of them have been calling each other names. But look, they have a mutual interest in getting California rebuilt, and this is going to be one of the big priorities in the first few months of the Trump administration, and he's going to have to work with Governor Newsom. I do think it also is notable that Donald Trump's political comeback.
Yeah! Donald J. Trump, hit the like and subscribe button.
In Ohio, in East Palestine, and really connected with people who were affected by that state of train derailment, and connected with the people and connected with the local officials in a way that the Biden administration didn't do an effective job of. This is a moment for Donald Trump to show he can't.
Let's see what else I can find, you guys. Give me a second. Give me a minute. So how you guys' day going? Where you coming from? Let me know if you're coming from inside the USA, outside the USA. I love to hear it.
Unfortunately, it's a very sad period, but what makes you feel good is I met so many of the homeowners.
Hit the like and subscribe button if you're new, too.
A lot of them. And every one of them said to me they want to rebuild. I said, will you go elsewhere? No. There wasn't even like a question. They love the area. They love the people. It's like a family. It's incredible, actually, when you see some things like that. We just left North Carolina, and we had just a similar type of disaster. It was water instead of fire, but boy, that water did damage like I'd never seen before. And then you come here and you see this. But the people are so amazing, and your fire department was so beautiful. Every one of us in perfect physical shape. I said, what do you guys do? They have very high standards, I can tell you. And we took pictures with all of them, but very nicely they gave us a little helmet. And I said, hey, you wear this, huh?
Free
Is it
TK,
real? And they
guys.
said, yeah. I said,
We
"So
need a
you
free
have to be real strong to
TK.
wear
We need
that."
a free Edward
That's the
Snowden. We need to
original,
free
right?
all the innocent with Donald
But I
J.
just
Trump
want
as
to,
president.
thank everybody. We're going to be with you. Your governor met us at the plane, and we had a good talk, very, very positive talk. We had to work together to get this really worked out. I don't think you can realize how rough it is, how devastating it is until you see it. I didn't realize, I mean, I saw a lot of bad things on television, but the extent of it, the size of it, we flew over it in a helicopter. We flew to a few of the areas, and it is devastation. It's incredible. It's really an incineration. Even some of the chimneys came down, okay? When you have the chimneys come down, you know that's pretty hot stuff, and a lot of them were down. That was a bad sign, too. But I just want to commiserate, and we're going to celebrate. We'll be back to celebrate one day soon, I hope soon. The federal government standing behind you, 100%. The First Lady and I are in California to express a great love for the people of California. I've had great support always in California. We did very well recently, as you know, relatively speaking, at least I could say. And it's been amazing. I have property in California, not too far away, actually, right up the road in Palos Verdes, a big property. And I've always loved it. I've always loved being here. But we have to grieve for the 28 Californians who have tragically perished. And sadly, you're going to be finding more. And that's going to be very sad, because I know people are missing. And when you look at that kind of incineration, you know what's going to happen. You're going to find some more. But with all that we've gone through, I watched your firefighters, and they were really fighting at a big disadvantage. I got to know a lot of them just now, and they're incredible people. They were so happy. They were saying, congratulations, sir. You know, they're thinking about country maybe even before this location that they all love. But I'm pleased to be joined by many of the great California leaders, both Democrat and Republican. And it's an honor to meet some of you I didn't know, but I know every one of you by name. LA County Supervisor Catherine Barger, thank you, Catherine, very much. Mayor Karen Bass, thank you, Karen. It's nice to meet you. Representatives Jay Obernolte, where's Jay? Jay, hi Jay. It's been a tough period, Jay, right? Vince Fong, Kevin Kiley, Vince and Kevin, hi. Hi, Vince. A man I know very well. I know him too well, actually. And I say that actually with love, because he's actually been a great congressman for a long time, and he's a great leader, and he loves the area as much as anybody, right, Daryl? So Daryl Issa, young Kim, congratulations on an excellent career. I appreciate it. Another one I know pretty well is, to put it mildly, is Tom McClintock. And he's been with us for a long time. We have some interesting things going on in Washington. And it's an honor that you guys are here. Thank you, Daryl, very much, Tom. George Whitesides. Good, George, thanks. It's a great name, too, by the way. Brad Sherman, oh, I know Brad well. We're on the same side of this one, I know that. We'll work together, Brad, very well. A lot of respect. And Presidential Envoy Rick Grinnell, who's done a fantastic job.
Sorry about that, guys. A little bit
Over the
of
years.
technical
He was,
difficulties.
Ambassador to Germany, and he was fantastic. So 2.5 weeks ago, over 100-mile-an-hour winds transformed the Palisades fire and other areas too into absolute infernos of death and destruction. And this is already the most expensive natural disaster, they say, in American history, and that's pretty amazing. The numbers are going to be staggering. most importantly, we have to get it built, and we have to hopefully find as few people as possible. We have already too many, 28 at least, they say. We're going to work very hard with the mayor, the governor, the supervisor, and everybody, and get the resources behind you. We have some amazing people, and we have some amazing fighters for things like this. I also had the concept of getting some of the best developers in the country. I've had so many calls from developers, and they want to come in. They don't want anything. They just want to come in and help, and they really know how to get things done and get things built. I would ask that the local officials, because we're going to waive, just about essentially waive all federal permits. We're going to have you go very quickly, because a federal permit can take 10 years. We're not going to do that. We don't want to take 10 days. I would. So we're declaring this a national emergency. By doing that, I can give you immediate permits. I'd ask that the local permitting process be the same. Some of the people were saying they're going to be forced to wait.
Sorry, Mr. Donald Trump, you gotta give us a break for a minute. I want to show you guys something. See if we can get anyone talking in that chat. Sorry guys, this isn't Trump for a second. This is just, my balcony. Nothing political here, just a man on his balcony. A lot of people, huh? A lot of people, huh? A lot of people, huh? I'm gonna be live streaming outside today. Like I said yesterday, I know I said I would give you guys, some in real live streams. I lied yesterday, but today I'm gonna try to keep my word.
Dramatic escalation of President Trump's illegal immigration crackdown. The first of 1,500 extra troops touching down in El Paso, Texas to support border security. And for the first time, migrants being deported not on chartered flights like before, but on military aircraft. 2 flights landing this morning in Guatemala.
We're getting the bad, hard criminals out. These are murderers. These are people that have been as bad as you get.
After a record 10 million illegal border crossings over the past 4 years, ICE now ramping up roundups of undocumented immigrants, making 538 arrests yesterday across the country, doubling its daily average in September. Cities including San Francisco, Salt Lake City, and Atlanta. In Newark, New Jersey, this surveillance video appears to show ICE agents making arrests. City officials and immigrant advocates say ICE agents raided this local business, arresting 3 undocumented immigrants and briefly detaining an American citizen, a military veteran, while they asked him for documentation.
They were scrambling up delivery ramps. They were banging down bathroom doors to make sure no one was hiding inside.
ICE doesn't call them raids, but targeted enforcement operations, and agents sometimes encounter U.S. citizens while conducting field work and may request identification.
Do you plan to use city resources to impede ICE?
We're not going to participate in what we think is unlawful.
Newark's Democratic Mayor Ras Baraka telling us late today there were 2 more operations in his city, where more than a third of the population was born outside the U.S.
Donald Trump won this election. What would you say to Trump supporters who are watching this and saying, that's what we voted for?
They're wrong. I would say you're wrong. You were wrong then, and you're wrong now.
Meanwhile, according to this internal memo obtained by NBC News, the Trump administration is reversing another Biden border policy, allowing ICE officials to quickly deport migrants who were legally allowed into the country temporarily under the Biden administration. Back in El Paso, Daniel De La Cruz lives just blocks from the border and praises President Trump for keeping his campaign promise on deportations.
America needs to take care of the American people. I'm glad that Trump is in office, implementing the law.
Meantime, Gabe, you have some new reporting about Mexico's role in all this.
Yes, Lester, 2 U.S. defense officials tell NBC News that Mexico denied access to a U.S. military deportation plane on Thursday. As we mentioned, 2 planes landed in Guatemala today. Meanwhile, here in Newark, the mayor says that he expects more deportations over the next few days.
President Trump today touring damage and hearing from displaced residents in parts of North Carolina ravaged by Hurricane Helene 4 months ago.
I totally feel like that we've been forgotten.
The president, alongside the first lady, again complaining that FEMA's response has been too slow.
Unfortunately, our government failed you, but it wasn't the Trump government. It was a government run by Biden.
And floating a potentially dramatic move, eliminating FEMA entirely.
I think, frankly, FEMA's not good. FEMA's turned out to be a disaster. I think we're going to recommend that FEMA go away.
Instead, the White House send disaster relief directly to states and give governors more control. But a president does not have the power to shut down FEMA.
Fuck that. He doesn't care. He's doing
it. The authority to remake or get rid of any agency. FEMA's defenders argue the federal government supports states and has a breadth of expertise and resources to respond that most states do not have.
Shit is ass. Fuck FEMA.
Panning the proposal.
I mean, if there's one reason
I grew up in Florida.
God, it's to
I
deal
can
with
say
disaster.
fuck FEMA.
So no, we shouldn't be living.
Meanwhile, the president just landed.
We got hit by hurricanes every damn day in Florida, and I still say fuck FEMA.
After repeatedly attacking California's Democratic leaders over the state's response to the disaster, and hours after detailing a pair of demands before he will offer more federal aid to the state.
I want to see 2 things in Los Angeles. Voter ID, so that the people have a chance to vote. And I want to see the water be released and come down into Los Angeles and throughout the state.
Newsom's office says other states don't require voter ID, and California pumps as much water now as it could under Trump's first-term policies. Writing, conditioning aid for American citizens is wrong. All of it with a final Senate confirmation vote expected tonight on Pentagon pick Pete Hegseth. Earlier, an NBC News review of records from Hegseth's divorce from his second wife, Samantha, includes a court-ordered agreement precluding either of them from saying anything publicly that would disparage the other. Since her ex-husband's nomination, Samantha has commented publicly about him only once, in response to a request from NBC News for comment on an affidavit by his former sister-in-law, Danielle Hegseth. Samantha told NBC News, "There was no physical abuse in my marriage."
And Peter, let's turn back to FEMA for a moment. The president is moving forward with his plan to eventually
No, I don't know what you guys' thoughts are, but I don't know.
I would love to see Canada be the 51st state. The Canadian citizens, if that happened, would get a very big tax cut, tremendous tax cut, because they're very highly taxed. And you wouldn't have to worry about military. You wouldn't have to worry about many of the things. You'd have better health coverage. You'd have much better health coverage. So I think the people of Canada would like it, you know, if it's explained. But just to start off, they'd have a massive tax cut. And they'd have a lot more business, because then we'd let business go to Canada routinely and there'd be no tariffs.
Trump is what a lot of you motherfuckers will never be. He's a fucking gangster. A real one. At that.
Yeah, the tariffs are going to make our country rich. We're going to be a rich, rich country very soon. Tariffs are going to make it rich in competence. You have common sense, competence, and tariffs. The word tariff is one of the most beautiful words in the dictionary. Like with Canada, we lose $200 billion a year with Canada. That's because we allow them to make cars, we allow them to take lumber. We don't need their cars, we don't need their lumber, we don't need their food products because we make the same products right on the other side of the border. It's sort of crazy. So we've just allowed that, bad management has allowed it over the last 4 years in particular to become very imbalanced. And I said I call him Governor Trudeau, but he's Prime Minister Trudeau when he was Prime Minister. I asked him, why would we do that? Why? And he was unable to give me an answer. He said, I don't know. And I said, do you think it's fair that we're paying $200 billion to keep Canada going? And what would happen, I asked him, what would happen if we didn't do that, if we didn't subsidize Canada? He said, we'd be a failed nation. And I said, then you should be a state. Because why are we paying all of that money to Canada when, we could use it ourselves, right?
Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like our videos.
Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Make sure to like my videos.
It was a lot of work, and as you know, I felt that we shouldn't have had to necessarily be here. Could have been done, a lot of work. Could have been, it would have been over. We wouldn't have inflation. We wouldn't have had the Afghanistan disaster. Wouldn't have October 7th with Israel, where so many people were killed, and you wouldn't have a Ukraine war going on. But with all that being said, I think it's bigger. It's bigger than if it were more traditional.
Only the second time in history.
Yeah.
I do think that it's more substantial that him winning, like if he had won in 2020, it wouldn't have been as big of a deal as him coming back and winning again in 2024. I feel like obviously that was like a huge game changer, massive.
But he didn't have consecutive terms.
Yeah. He did win.
Well, they say it's historically bigger. I don't know about that. But I can say it showed us a couple of things. It showed us that the radical left, their philosophies and policies are horrible. They don't work. You look at crime, you look at what's gone on at the border, you look at what's going to happen. The crime that's going to happen. But
yeah, I think as soon as they start showing that there's like these people that are illegal immigrants that have committed, like again, like that guy got arrested 17 times. How does something like that happen? And so, yeah, absolutely. Because like as soon as you make that, as soon as you make like the public aware of that, they're gonna lose their fucking minds.
I think we got there just in the nick of time, but we still have you covered better than anybody. We have terrorists in our country by the thousands. We have murderers in our country by the tens of thousands.
The Democrats don't care if there's illegals and murderers and rapists. They rather just keep the 5 good illegals, just so we can keep the 1,000 bad murderers and rapists.
Killed more than one person, and they're walking around. They came out of jails from other countries, and people, they've emptied their jails. I would, if I were the president or prime minister or something of another country, I'd empty my jails right into America, into the United States. Why not?
And
why not?
And many of them did it. If you look at Venezuela, their crime rate is down now 78%. Because they took their street gangs and they moved them into the United States. And you're seeing that in Colorado and Los Angeles.
Based for your face.
Other places. And we're going to take care of it.
So did Biden really say to you when you came up to the front of the White House, welcome home?
No, did somebody say that?
I read it somewhere.
I don't know, maybe he did. I really don't know.
So you left him a letter. It was funny with Peter Ducey, and Peter said, "Oh, Mr. President, did Joe Biden leave you a letter?" He did leave you a letter.
He did.
And you left him one, but you've never disclosed either one of them.
Well, a lot of people...
That would be a great time.
You know, it's interesting. A lot of people thought it was sort of like a setup with Peter Ducey and myself, and I have a lot of respect for Peter. But he just asked me a question about the letter. And then I remember that, it's like a custom, you leave it right in the drawer of that beautiful desk right alongside of us. And, so I opened it up, and I actually gave the letter to Peter.
And did he got to read it?
I guess. I haven't said it.
The content president. All right.
Yeah, just sent it to him a little while ago.
All right, before we get into this, so much substance, you are inheriting a lot of problems. A lot of things that actually scare me. And I want to get to all of that. And I will get to all of that. They're
all solvable problems.
I agree.
They're all solvable.
Not easy.
With time, effort, money, unfortunately. But they're all solvable problems. We can get our country back. But if we didn't win this race, I really believe our country would have been lost forever.
If Trump bans microtransactions, I wouldn't even care if he becomes dictator. Is that it? So like, that's really where you draw the line? It's like, just please, bro, get rid of these pre-order bonuses. Like, you can do whatever you want, but you just have to, it's so annoying, man.
There are moments, I mean, when you think of what they threw at you, and I know you signed this declaration about no more weaponization.
Yeah.
And we know that the preemptive pardons came up on Joe's way out.
I do feel like if Trump had lost, it would have been a massive, like, it would have been kind of like the COVID era level of like censorship and like tone policing and like speech control. I think it would have become the norm.
We're facing a civil trial, a criminal trial, conviction, sentencing. Jack Smith, D.C., Florida, Fonnie Willis. I mean, you fought through all of that to get back right here in this office. What people don't know is over there's a little red button you push. You scare people. People think it's the nuclear button, but it's really,
something else.
It's you use it for a different purpose. But the question I have, it was, at any point, did you doubt you would be back here?
So it's a great question. It's something I don't think about. I never really thought about it. I don't think about, gee, will I be back? I just do it. I get it done. I get things done. I'm good at getting things done, and I set my mind to it. As you know, we had a great election in 2016. I had a much better election.
Pardons noted.
In 2020.
Wait, what was that?
In 2016, I had a much better election in 2020.
Man. What if the logic for him running for his third term is that he technically already won his third term in the 2020 election? So, because he was able to win a third time, now he can run a fourth time to serve a third time? See, guys, do you remember what y'all said about how I was crazy about this? And then 2 days later, you got people writing up fucking constitutional amendments for this.
And if I didn't have that
You
much
can only do 2 terms.
if
That's
I
what it says.
thought that I didn't get the number of votes, and it was reported that I got almost 75 million votes, and that was their numbers. That wasn't the numbers, that was their numbers.
Right.
That was more than anybody has gotten in history, any sitting president had ever gotten. And you lost. Had I gotten like 50 million, or 40 million, or 60 million, I would never have run. But that was like a poll, so, but I had a different attitude. Too big to rig.
Poll came out just in the last 24 hours by Insider Advantage, that's Matt Towery. He nailed 2016, 2020, and 2024. Great pollsters, you know.
Right.
And he gave you a 56% approval rating. He also said of Congress, and I had a town hall with him.
People like winners, right? And at the end of the day, I think that people that don't like Trump can at least respect the fact that he came into office and he did a lot of the things that he said he was going to do. And I think that people like, so this is going to be like, this is a philosophy thing. But I think that at the pinnacle, power and virtue are the same thing. And so, and the best example of that is God, right? I mean, look at Old Testament God. Kind of an asshole, right? But he's God and you worship him.
The mind is so complex when you're based.
To having absolute power and being able to execute that power, the more that you'll have people that will implicitly trust you and implicitly support you.
There was a Congress last night that 70% of respondents want Congress to unite behind your agenda.
I watched that show. It was a great show, and you had some great people.
People saying Trump is God. Just think about it a little bit more. Think about other parallels. Think about other people that have been like very popular in any country. Think about the way that they exercise their power, and think about what the type of effect that had on their population and how it caused people to respond.
Make sure everyone joins my Discord. It's link in the bio. We got entrepreneurs, business people, doctors, bankers, investors, all kinds of people. You know, this is like a network of people. We're a great network. So please join it. It's link in the bio. My Discord is free. Much appreciated. And also hit the like and subscribe button. I'm almost at 3,000 subscribers. Like, I'm trying to get to 3,000 subscribers before my birthday next month.
I find that to be very interesting. I think it's an element of human psychology that's not explored a lot.
Background. I know every one of them, and they're really patriots. I just saw the love. You know, as the speaker, who was doing a terrific job, the speaker was answering questions, and I saw the acknowledgement and the love they had. And those are tough people behind him. You know, these are not easy people.
There are others that are tougher.
I said, well, I don't know. This is a tough group if they want to be. They're not, nobody much tougher. But they're very unified. I think they're going to do a great job.
But they have a small majority. You went to over 200 since we got here. And we have breaking news today that we'll get to in a minute. And especially as it relates to the border and some other issues. But you're going to need to do some of these things legislatively. You will probably play the largest role in uniting them both in the House and Senate. Reconciliation, the Senate has very strict, rules governing how they can do it. Do you, one big beautiful bill, 2 bills, do you care at this point?
I don't care as long as we get to the final answer. I like the concept of the one bill. I guess I said one big beautiful, and that's what everyone says. Actually, it's sort of a nice.
I could assume that he said that, yeah.
But I do like that concept. It could be something else. It could be a smaller bill and a big bill. Right. But as long as we get to the right answer. Now, I will say that Los Angeles has changed everything.
That's pragmatic, yeah.
Because a lot of money is going to be necessary for Los Angeles, and a lot of people on the other side want that to happen. And
North Carolina, too.
Well, they don't care about North Carolina. The Democrats don't care about North Carolina. What they've done with FEMA is so bad. FEMA is a whole nother discussion because all it does is complicate everything. FEMA has not done their job for the last 4 years. I had FEMA working really well. We had hurricanes in Florida. We had Alabama tornadoes. But unless you have certain types of leadership, it's really it gets in the way. And FEMA is going to be a whole big discussion very shortly because
I think it's kind of crazy for me to see how much some things were being mismanaged. Like, cause I mean, even as somebody who's like generally distrustful of like government and stuff, it was shocking for me to see how much things were just totally fucked. It was on purpose.
Oh yeah, it was on purpose.
I mean, yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say that. I wouldn't really say that, but maybe.
See the states take care of their own problems. If they have a tornado someplace, and if they let that state. Oklahoma is very competent. I love Oklahoma. 77 out of 77 districts. And that's never been done before. I did it 3 times. I mean, think of it. 3 times. Never been done. Ronald Reagan had the record, 56. 56 out of 77. I got 77 out of 77. So you have to love a place like that. I love Oklahoma. But you know what? If they get hit with a tornado or something, let Oklahoma fix it. You don't need... And then the federal government can help them out with the money. The FEMA is getting in the way of everything. And the Democrats actually use FEMA not to help North Carolina.
It makes no sense.
So I'm stopping on Friday. I'm stopping in North Carolina, first stop, because those people were treated very badly by Democrats. And I'm stopping there. We're going to get that thing straightened out because they're still suffering from a hurricane from months ago. And then I'm going to...
Yeah, I remember seeing the photos of that, and people's houses were floating around. All kinds of crazy shit was happening. Yeah, it was a shock to see it happen. It really was. Like, I was amazed. Yeah, is he going to dismantle FEMA? I feel like in a lot of cases, the best solution isn't to dismantle something, but it's to functionally dismantle it. So, like, you just remove all the people that were in charge of decision-making. Like, there are a lot of things that are good systems that are run by bad people. And so you just get new people and that's it. Yeah, reform it. Exactly. Yeah, that's the whole, and I think that was the whole idea of like, oh, drain the swamp, right? That was kind of what people wanted. I don't think people want to see the government dismantled or they want to see a lot of government regulation and regulatory agencies completely removed. I think they just want to see them working efficiently and not in some ways seemingly oppositional to people. A floating house and $600? I think it was $700, but yeah.
Then I'm going to go to California.
What do you mean with Gavin?
I don't know. I haven't even thought about
750.
it. Gavin's got one thing he can do. He can release the water that comes from the north. There is massive amounts of water, rainwater and mountain water that comes through with the snow, comes down as it melts. There's so much water, they're releasing it into the Pacific Ocean. And I told him, it's a political thing for the Democrats. I don't know.
The tape, you said it to him in front of him in 2018.
I said it to him in front of the media and everything else, and nobody talks about it. The media never picks it up. You put it out. I was so happy.
The thing about this is that, like, I almost don't even believe Trump with this because it seems like how could it possibly be that simple? How could they possibly be fucking up on that level? And so, like, I don't really entirely believe that because it's just so ridiculous.
I don't know how they mess up, but they mess up pretty badly, huh, guys? Expose myself. We're taking a break from the Trump chat. Let me talk to some of you guys directly. Let me know where you guys are coming from. What country Where exactly? What city? Come on, guys. Someone say something. The chat is completely empty. Alright guys, let me take you back to the chat. Let's go back to the Trump talk for a second while I make some food.
It's impossible to believe. You question a chosen one? Well, I mean, this is the way that I always look at things. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. And it's like, are they really that dumb? Like, there's no way, right? I mean, it's got to be more complicated than that.
See that tape? Because some people said, is that possible? They have water coming down from the Pacific Northwest. There's a lot of water. So much water that they'd have to let some of it go at some point. They don't need reservoirs. They don't need any spending all this money on these reservoirs. And they're fake reservoirs. You know, the
reservoirs were empty, the hydrants didn't work, and they're not practicing the science of forestry, which
the
is
sprinklers didn't work in the homes because they had no water. Think of it. We have sprinklers. Think of it with no water. They didn't have any water. The fire hydrants, you have to live in hard to believe. The place that sprinklers is nice. But you don't want to lose this office. By the way, how do you like it?
Well, I'm glad. It's great to be back. I'm not going to lie.
You know, I've had the biggest people in the world come here. And they come into the Oval Office and they just look and they want time to look. They're looking around. George Washington, Abe, Honest Abe.
One day maybe we could do a tour. We had a conversation, and maybe I shouldn't disclose this, but I will. And it was after the 2020 election. And you asked me a question, and we've known each other for 30 years, so we have a friendship and we have a professional relationship.
Moving on, all right.
And the question you asked me, maybe in the end it will be better that if I came back in 4 years. And we talked about
the content president. There it is. And to be fair, it is a better story. It was.
history. After World War II, Winston Churchill was thrown out, but they brought him back. Grover Cleveland is the only other American president that did not serve consecutive terms. And my answer to you was, I thought it would be bigger if you came back.
It's turning out to be bigger. And I think one thing is happening is people are learning that they can't govern and that their policies are terrible. I mean, they don't want to see a woman get pummeled by a man in a boxing ring.
No.
They don't want to see men in women's sports and otherwise. They don't want to see them, and they don't want to have transgender for everyone. They don't want a child leave home as a boy and come back 2 days later as a girl, a parent.
The funny thing is that, like, I don't really think that happens. I'm pretty sure it doesn't. But I feel like the amount of fatigue that people have from it does, I don't think, I mean, again, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. I want to see some links to this, okay? You want me to believe that? We gotta see some links to this. And anyway, I think that people are so fatigued from what they view as like kind of overrepresentation and not being able to criticize like trans or LGBT stuff, etc., that people will buy into this. And I don't even think that anybody questions it. I don't think they question it at all. Because they're just so sick of it that they'll just go along with it, even if part of it isn't even really true. Do you need reality sections? People are crazy? You really think that's what's happening? Okay, I mean, I don't know. Like, all I'm saying is that I don't think I'm a crazy guy, am I? For saying that when somebody tells me that you have a kid go to school and then 2 days they come home to the opposite gender, and I'm like, I think I need a source for this. Am I really crazy for saying that, like, maybe, I don't know about that, right? I mean, it sounds like, that's pretty extreme. Sounds a little extreme. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. I think that's reasonable.
Doesn't want to see that. And there are states where that can happen.
Yeah.
They don't want to see taxes go through the roof. Like, this is the only group of people that want to raise your taxes. They say we want to raise your taxes. You know, if they don't work with us on the Trump tax.
This is going to be maybe an unpopular opinion, but I think that people would be more okay with their taxes being raised if they felt like the government was providing a service that was meaningful. Because I think that a lot of people in Europe don't complain as much about it, it seems. And this is an
because they're retards.
Right?
That's
So
why they
this is
don't fucking complain
vibe
about
check.
it. They're
But
retards.
I think the problem with
I'm in
people
Europe
have with
right now.
taxes
People do
isn't that
complain about the
taxes are high.
taxes. They just move to cheaper tax jurisdictions if they make a lot more money. They just move out of the country, like the UK or, you know, Spain. If they make a lot more money, they leave. Or they set their business up in another country and live in another country.
It's that they're going to things that people don't want them to go to. I think that people get very frustrated when taxes are going towards military companies and military contractors that are brothers or cousins of people that are in the government. And I think that people are very frustrated when taxes go towards foreign aid to countries that say death to America. I think both of these things it makes paying your taxes a really tough sell. That's the truth. It's a very, very tough sell.
Tax cuts extending. That would mean it would go back to the taxes. We got the largest tax cut in history. That would mean the taxes would go up more than any tax hike in the history of our country. And normally you'd say that's got to be the easiest negotiation in history, because if they did that, how could they ever win an election? But they'll fight us on that. They fight us on things. It's incredible.
Here, I ran
They don't use common sense. In my opinion, the Democrats don't use common sense.
Well, common sense won the day in the election.
Yeah, but you know the amazing thing? I'm watching.
I think that, by the way, he's completely right about that. And I think that there are too many of these common sense problems that Democrats turn a blind eye to, such as like the trans issues and the illegal immigration issues. And I think that those issues just by themselves were such an indicator to the average public that these people are totally disconnected from reality. And we don't want to have a person like that running things. That's it. I think that's a big, big reason. Like a massive reason. But under Trump's tax plan, 6 years? Well, that's not my point. My point is like, so my focus and like what I find to be really interesting is being able to understand how people think and why people come to conclusions that they do, and understanding that well enough to be able to predict what's going to happen in the future. And so whenever I see a situation like this, I try to reverse engineer what caused this situation to occur, and why did people feel this way, and how did they respond that way. So I think that's really what happened. And I think that was a huge factor. And you might disagree with the conclusion, but I think that there were enough people that agree with it that made it a difference. I really do. And the Walmart whisperer, yes. And I want to understand the way that people think that way, right? And that's, I think, probably the biggest thing. And I think the issue is that, so this was also another issue, you know, like, I don't want to go too far off topic, but like another frame of reference for this is Mitt Romney. So Mitt Romney's faith, because he was a Mormon, was brought up a number of times where it's like, how are we going to trust somebody with nuclear launch codes who believes in magic underwear? And I'm going to be honest, as an enlightened, euphoric atheist, that was a pretty strong argument to me. That was a good argument. Yeah. It's a good point. And even though they're totally unrelated, that's a terrible argument? No, it's not. And let me explain why it's not a terrible argument. It provides a frame of reference that logical and rational thinking is not something that this person practices in a consistent way. And as soon as somebody does not practice logical and consistent thinking, they become impossible to predict and impossible to understand and control. Because you can't give them something and then expect them to react in the way that they would expect them to. Like, who here wants a calculator that gives you wrong answers? Nobody does. So we can all say that it's normal, but the fact is that there's a reason why, if you do this, you're considered crazy. These are crazy people things. And so anyway, why do you assume the thinking is not consistent or logical? Because underwear isn't magic. There's nothing that's observed that way. And I'm sorry. Like, I respect people's faiths as much as I can, but you also have to respect my faith in critical thinking and rationality. This is ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous. It shouldn't even be taken seriously for a fraction of a second. And yes, absolutely. If somebody believes crazy shit like that, I'm going to assume that their critical thinking skills are compromised, which would make me worried whenever they have an important job that involves critical thinking. And I think that that exact same type of thinking was applied to Democrats whenever they were talking about trans issues and illegal immigration specifically. I think that's exactly what happened.
Now it's time, and you know, a few months have passed, and the election's over, and you see what happened, and it was a rout. I won all 7 swing states, and we won by millions of votes, the popular vote, millions. And nobody can even believe some of the numbers. And how about with African Americans, with Hispanics, with everything, how well we did? Nobody can believe the numbers. How about with youth? I won youth by 36 points.
To be fair, it was shocking to me that he won by this big of a margin too, with especially Hispanic communities. But, you know, big surprise. Legal immigrants aren't really big fans of illegal immigrants.
Now, maybe that's because I went on TikTok. I don't know, but I'm starting to have a very warm
TikTok is going to be sold, right?
I think TikTok's going to be sold. I'll tell you, people want to buy it.
You want to fudge the numbers?
But those that say they know say it's a spying app for the communist change.
Yeah.
But, but you can say that about everything made in China. Look, we have our telephones made in China for the most part. We have so many things made in China. So why don't they mention that, you know? I mean, the interesting thing with TikTok though is you're dealing with a lot of young people, so
they love it.
Is it that important for China to be spying on young people, on young kids watching crazy videos on things?
I don't want China spying on anybody.
No, but they make your telephones and they make your computers and they make a lot of other things, isn't it?
Thank you. Fucking thank you. How is it that TikTok is this unique evil, but China is involved with our economy in 50 other ways, and we're not talking about it? This is another example of common sense. China is so bad, okay, I forgot TikTok is the only thing that China makes. It's crazy.
That a bigger threat?
I'm sure that'll be part of your discussions with President Xi, which I'm going to talk about in a moment. Let me go to the border. We do have breaking news today. I ran into Tom Homan as I was walking in today. And so far, 308 total arrests. 296 detainees, and the first deployment of military assets to the U.S. border. The deployment includes active duty troops in the National Guard.
Right.
And here's my biggest fear and concern beyond the Iranian assassination squads is we now know 14 million. We don't know how many gotaways. We don't know the total number. But we have known terrorists in our country. We have known murderers, rapists.
All right. That's enough for Trump. Hit the like and subscribe button. Watch all my other videos. Peace.